Imagine a world where one person holds more wealth than a small country's entire economy. Welcome to the world of billionaires. With fortunes exceeding billions and in some cases hundreds of billions of dollars, the individuals have more power to shape industries, influence politics, and change lives. But as their wealth grows, so do the questions about the ethics of extreme wealth. Is it a reward for innovation and hard work, or a symbol of systemic inequality? In this video, we'll explore the complex issues surrounding billionaires and extreme wealth, examining the benefits and the drawbacks.
If you get rid of 99%, I'd have 1.3 billion.
I'm so sorry.
There should be grapes, turnips, vegetables, everything on the streets every day for the homeless to eat. You're making us pay for water, you son of a... You're making us pay for grapes, apples, things that God gave us for free.
Are billionaires good for society? This is a question that carries a lot of controversy, and today we're cutting out all the BS as we have this discussion once and for all. And who else can help us with such a complex topic other than the one and only John D. Rockefeller, the first man to give a clear answer to the question, how much money is enough money? John D. Rockefeller is a notable figure as he is widely considered to have been the first billionaire with a fortune estimated at around $1 billion in 1916, which is equivalent to approximately $340 billion today. He made his fortune in the oil industry, founding Standard Oil Company in 1870, which dominated the oil refining industry in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The concept of a billionaire is relatively modern. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, industrialists and entrepreneurs like Rockefeller, Carnegie, and Ford amassed enormous fortunes, but the term billionaire was still science fiction. Today, there are 2,800 billionaires worldwide with a combined net worth of trillions of dollars. But then again, that's less than 0.00004% of the entire world's population. And most of you watching this video, including myself, aren't even part of the top 1%. $1 million could drastically change most of our lives. And then we have these people here who have more than 1,000 times that amount. For example, let's take Tyler Perry here, who has a net worth of $1.4 billion, which he made through screenwriting, directing, producing, and acting in his own movies. He also founded his own studios, Tyler Perry Studios, which is a massive 330-acre lot in Atlanta, Georgia, one of the biggest in the US. But he's considered poor compared to these individuals who are worth 100 times what he's worth. A good example, Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, is a billionaire multiplied by 500. We all know about Elon Musk, the guy who made his money through government subsidies, the billionaire funded by taxpayers. I'm joking, of course. That's actually how the world works. You prove yourself worthy of funding, and the government and corporations throw all the money they have towards your direction to help you create more value. Elon Musk has pushed so many limits to what humanity can achieve. The guy has turned fiction to reality through his innovation on microchips that can do so many things, including fixing paralysis.
What's been your favorite thing you've been able to do with the Neuralink so far?
I've just had a good time being able to use it as I travel, flying and draw a little mustache on a cat. Had a lot of fun doing that. I mean, I've just had a good time playing around with it.
Has to be Fusion 360, being able to design parts, design the hat logo with the BCI.
He's built reusable rockets, improved global internet connectivity, electric cars. Okay, I'm not gonna go through Elon's 500-page resume, but the point I'm trying to make is that the impact he's had is undeniable. But should he have all that money? Should any of them have all that money? Well, the answer is not that simple. What is simple though is that there's clearly a problem of inequality. Looking at the world objectively, it is a bit unfair that there's people owning 5 houses or more while there's people out there struggling to make ends meet, some of which cannot even afford a roof over their heads. We live in a world where even law doesn't apply to those who have money. Rich people can easily pay off a traffic fine, for example, and they can afford expensive lawyers which help them get away with almost anything. We have some billionaires who lecture us about climate change and go as far as investing tons of money to that cause, and they do this while still flying around in jets that emit hundreds of tons of greenhouse gases. We're talking about 810 tons of greenhouse gases per jet annually, to be specific. Billionaires have enough power to undermine democracy and influence politics and policy decisions. This is called lobbying, and it is completely legal in the United States. Elon Musk spent over $250 million on Donald Trump's campaign. Trump won the election and Musk reigned next to him as his chief advisor for a short time before their public nasty fallout. Seeing that Trump could not be controlled, Musk threatened to start his own political party. But it's not just Musk. In fact, look at this photo here. This is a very significant photo for the historical record, as it exposes the wirings of the system. Some of these billionaires did not endorse the 47th US president, but it was clear during the inauguration that they had chosen the winning side and they wanted the piece of the pie. More especially this guy. Mark Zuckerberg hasn't been in good terms with President Donald Trump historically. In fact, this is an understatement considering the fact that Zuckerberg actually banned Trump from Facebook and Instagram after the Capitol riots in 2021. 4 years later, Trump threatened the Meta boss with jail time if he interfered in the 2024 presidential election. But in November 2024, after the elections, Mark Zuckerberg visited Donald Trump at his resort in Mar-a-Lago to mend relations and of course, do a lot of ass kissing. In January 2025, Zuckerberg agreed to pay Trump a whopping $25 million to settle lawsuit over Facebook and Instagram suspensions. What we see here is billionaires eating from the palm of the most powerful man in the world to secure their fortune for the next 4 years. And of course, we have the president, who's a billionaire himself. Donald Trump is the richest president in history of the US presidents, with a net worth of $5.5 billion. Trump came from a wealthy background. His father was worth millions of dollars. Donald Trump joined his father's real estate business and quickly made a name for himself with his extravagant lifestyle and outspoken manner. He saw so much success in the real estate business and has invested in various other ventures, many of which have failed miserably. Nonetheless, he's managed to turn his father's millions into billions of dollars. We're talking about an unapologetic capitalist. Trump proposed a $5 million gold card to grant citizenships to wealthy individuals around the world. And this of course has fueled a lot of controversy and backlash from the public, because it just demonstrated inequality. The inequality in society is a burning issue and always has been throughout history. The common folks have led revolutions against corrupt systems that have favored inequality. The French Revolution is a good example of what happens when the grievances of the public are ignored. Spanning from 1789 to 1799, the French Revolution marked the brutal end of the monarchy and the establishment of a republic. Today, the term "eat the rich" has gained momentum and people are calling for a heavy taxation of the ultra-wealthy. Some economists have even proposed a wealth limit, and depending on who you ask, $1 million per year is enough to live a comfortable life, while also $10 million has been a suggestion. But we've learned that it is quite impossible to tax the rich. You probably already know this, but when you talk about someone's net worth, we're not necessarily talking about the gains or profits or money they have in the bank. No, We're talking about the monetary value of all of their assets, from their houses to their cars, their shares in the company that they own, and other companies that they've invested in. And now, how do taxes work? The government can only tax the money in circulation. Every time you make a transaction, you pay a little bit of tax. An example of this would be consumption tax, where consumers pay a small amount every time they make a purchase. But the primary tax in most countries is income tax, which is taxed on individuals and is the largest source of income for most governments. Now this is where it becomes tricky, because billionaires do not have an income. Or should I say, they choose not to. We're talking about people who have climbed the economic ladder and have maintained their positions by studying all the ins and outs of the economy. They've read every book there is. A good example of this is Jeff Bezos, who reported a low income in 2011 and received a child tax credit of $4,000 at a time when he was worth $18 billion. Most billionaires finance their lifestyle through their businesses. Every time they travel or purchase something, they register it as a business expense. Alternatively, billionaires would just simply take out loans rather than using their own money. And an average person wouldn't understand why a billionaire would need a loan. And this is completely legal and is considered tax avoidance as opposed to tax evasion, which is illegal. Okay, now let's take a moment to imagine a world without capitalism. That is, a world without billionaires. Personally, I cannot. In fact, trying to wrap my head around the idea of living in any other society is quite scary. A capitalist society is rooted in reality and reflects life as it is. You get the results based on the effort you put in. When you put all of your hard work and savings into starting a business, no one should dictate how big your business should grow or how much of your business you should have a control of. As an owner, or in cases of big corporations, a majority shareholder, you get to have a bigger voice in decision making of the business. Now, putting a cap on how much a person should be worth is almost the same as putting a cap on how far the business itself can grow. It's just way too technical and unrealistic. Think of Warren Buffett, for example, who made his money through investing. Did not start a huge corporation. You can't use that same stereotype with him that, oh, you can't be a billionaire without having exploited the labor or having contributed to some sort of child slavery in Africa or whatever. You can't use that same argument with him because he just invested money. Now, how do you regulate that person's world? How do you put a cap on it? Because that's almost the same as telling people not to invest. You have too much money now, stop. Or you have too much money now, give it back to us. Like, it's not realistic. If society had some type of limit to individual net worth, we most definitely wouldn't have cool things like social media. We wouldn't have companies like Google, Amazon, or Apple and their very cool products. But also, it is very true that people behind these very cool inventions are not always motivated by money, but by the love of what they do. But at the same time, we do know that it's how much control they have that gives them the freedom in creative decision making. And that control is directly linked to capital. In other words, these companies were founded and have grown to what they are today because of free market capitalism. And as unfair as it is that there is so much inequality, we have to also acknowledge that capitalism is the reason you're not fetching water from the river or cooking your meals on wood fire. Before the advancement brought about by free market capitalism, most people worked in farms and some had other not so fancy jobs. Today, there are jobs that don't require that much skill, like customer service, for example. Most people doing those jobs would probably be doing something much worse if we were living in the 18th century. Living has never been easy. Water Apples and grapes were never free, despite what some people may think. Now, the term "eat the rich" is extremely political, as it calls for redirection of power from multimillionaires and billionaires to politicians, with the hope that they will not misuse that power. But we all know that the opposite always happens. Politicians disappoint us all the time. In fact, politicians have used public funds to enrich themselves and fund wars. Listen, I'm not claiming to have solutions. I made this video to point out the nuances and to highlight that any system can be corrupted. And I know this can be a very unpopular take, but calling out for a radical change can be a bit misguided. We don't need another revolution.
Every single mayor needs to figure out what the they want to do before There should be grapes, turnips, vegetables, everything on the streets every day for the homeless to eat. You're making us pay for water, you son of a... You're making us pay for grapes, apples, things that God gave us for free. Ha! You will burn in hell when I'm through with you. You will not be allowed in my Father's house at all.